Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by. I'm just an old man, retired, and I have plenty of things to do and more time to do them in. I'm a fly fisherman. However, I've been watching and browsing through a number of the bait makers, the ones that make crankbaits and that sort of thing. I'm typically a fly guy. This is what I used here in the last, well, long time, probably in the last 10-15 years on this style of fly on my fly rod. But you guys have inspired me with these super looking wood baits, and the balsa wood, it has got my attention because it's the lightest wood out there and pretty easy to work with. So I built a duplicator. And this is one that I did right here. And it's the first one I ever airbrushed and everything. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'll get better at it. I used to own a sign shop years ago, and I've done some airbrushing then. And I don't think it'll be too hard for me to pick back up on it. So what I want to show you is a duplicator that I built. And it's pretty awesome. Now I've been working on this thing for a few months and trying to figure out the mechanics of it and everything, and I finally got to it. But what I had in the beginning was this little thing right here, and that was a vacuum back there, and the duplicator contraption was up on top here, and the vacuum would pick up all the dust as the machine duplicated from this. This would be the duplicator plate area, and this would be the duplicator plate. So it went from that to what I'm going to show you here in this video. We'll watch this, and then I'll close it out and I'll explain some of the other things that I'm going to be doing in the future. Well, I'm pretty excited about this because it doesn't just cut balsa wood. I can cut any wood essentially. It's just that if I can plunge through balsa because it's so soft and forgiving. But if I want to go to a hardwood and actually start using lips for all my baits are going to be lipless crankbaits. I don't want that kind of a drag on my I'm going to call it a fly because I'm using it on a fly rod. It'll be a lipless crankbait being used on a fly rod. And I mean, if any of you guys know anything about fly fishing, these are going to be floating baits. The balsa is going to be floating baits. I do have weights, birdshot weights in the belly of these baits that I'm building, and the birdshot is enough to turn the bait to ride correctly. Now, to get it to dive, there's different kinds of fly line on your outfit that you have, and I typically use a 7 weight and I run a 9 weight line on it. And what that means is I can usually cast further and I can cast heavier baits because of the 9 weight line. Most of the time, because I love top water when I use my poppers, I will just use a top water float, a shooting taper, and that way, as I retrieve it, the popper stays on top of the line, my line stays on top of the water, and when I retrieve it, it just pops across the water. But there's different types of attachments that you can do to your line, and there's a fast sinking line. I'm drawing a blank on what it is actually, but I can have it anywhere from 18 inches long to, I think they come at 7 feet long. And what happens is my floating line will be up here and the sinking line will go down, and then when the leader goes up to the balsa bait floating on the water, what will happen is that the weight of that line, when I pull on it, is going to pull my bait down into the water. So it'll do almost the same thing as your as the lips on your crankbaits. Hopefully, I've not done it quite yet, but not with balsa. But I have done it with regular flies. And what I'm talking about is this is an old popper that I did last year. This is just foam that I tied and painted up, and I was able to pull it, and it goes under the water. And the bass seem to love the idea of something going down in the water and then slowly floating back up to the surface. It seems like when I pull it down, when it's back on its rise again, that's when the bass just smash these things. And I'm kind of excited about these because I think I can do more with the balsa wood than I can just a traditional fly material. Anyway, that's it for this one. And if you found this interesting, I do have more stuff that I'm going to be doing. In fact, the duplicator, and I'll show you in another video, the duplicator, I can design my, because I will be spin casting this year more than I have probably in the last 20 or 30 years. But I am going to make some with the lips on them, and the duplicator will actually cut plastic. I can cut plastic lips out on this, and I can actually chain them up to where I can cut, when I'm doing them, instead of just doing one at a time like you saw in the video, I'll be able to cut 6, 8, or 10 of them at a time depending on how big they are, because I think my cut area on the duplicator that I built is it's 3.5 inches tall by about 6.5 inches long. So I can do that much. There's that much room for me to be able to do different size of crankbaits, or to gang up on a board and cut. Instead of constantly changing the boards out, I can cut 3, 4, 5, 6 of them at a time. Anyway, Hope you got something out of the video. If you did, consider subscribing. It helps me. It encourages me to do more videos. And I am going to be doing more spin casting this year than I have in a very long time. So I'll be doing a lot of crankbaits, and I will be having some airbrushing videos too on how I go about putting these small boss flies together, and it's going to be a blast this year. I know it is. Anyway, this is Mike. Until the next video, we'll catch you later.